this video is to go through how to factor by grouping. And this is a nice way to factor a four-termed expression. It allows us to kind of undo a foiling where it's not trinomial. It's mostly helpful when you have actually something to the third power. Can be used for other times, but initially this is what you're going to see this for. So let's look at these two problems. It's exactly as it reads. If I have these four terms here, what I'm going to do is group them together as two different groups for right now, and we're going to basically just GCF the whole way through this problem. So if I were to just look at those first two, x cubed minus 4x squared, I'm going to see that they have a GCF of x squared. So I'm going to factor out an x squared, leaving me with x minus 4. There is no GCF of x minus 4. There is one. We just don't usually represent it, but I'm going to write it down there so hopefully we can see what's going on. But there's no GCF, really, we just can factor out a 1. And if you notice now, we have two different terms. We have what I'm highlighting here, and what separates one term from another is an addition or a subtraction sign. So technically now we have two different terms, and you'll see that now both of those terms actually have something in common. It's different than what you're used to seeing, but they have a binomial in common. That's okay. We can still factor out a binomial. It's still something that they have in common. So if you take a look at the x minus 4 as a binomial, we're going to figure out what's left over. Well, the x squared is left over from the first term, and the plus 1 is left over from the second term. And we just factored that problem. You can kind of, as you're doing problems like this, you can kind of see if there's going to be a pattern. Ideally, in order to do this second step, you want to look for a binomial that will be left over that they both have in common. So you'll kind of be able to see as you go through the problem whether or not you are on the right track or not. If I take a look at this next problem, and the 9x to the third plus 6x squared, they both have a 3x squared. So when I factor out a 3x squared, I'm going to get a 3x plus 2. So ideally then, if this 3x plus 2 is our binomial, our hopes would be is that hopefully the 3x plus 2 is a binomial left over, and you're going to look, indeed we do have a GCF of 5 in this case, which when I factor out a 5, I'm going to get 3x2 left over, which is great because now I have that binomial in common. So my next step would be to factor out the GCF of the binomial, which is the binomial. And then what's going to be left over is the 3x squared and the 5. So now we have it factored.